Scott with SJWellfire.com. Final Days Report, episode 449. Folks, the mental illness industrial complex is being built right before your eyes. This is a playbook, and it's going to go after your kids, defile them. Eventually, I think it's going to be used to arrest Christians and ultimately to break up families, my friends. This is nothing short of a plan. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this VCast is the inspiration from a post and research from COVID Vaccine Zombies, her Telegram channel. She literally probably did 3 or 4 posts on the mental illness infrastructure that is being built. I'm talking billions of dollars of these new facilities. I'm just going to play a quick video of just one of her posts that is alarming. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars per location are being invested, including for the children and mental illness. This reminds me of the playbook for the industrial prison complex, the private prison complex. So Hollywood programs the youth to run wild, crime skyrockets. This is nothing short of social engineering. And oh yes, this parlays into Trump's executive order that we've covered before. Let's read. An executive order signed by President Trump marks a much needed course correction from social advocacy to pragmatism. Ending crime and disorder on American streets declares that vagrancy, disorderly behavior, sudden confrontations, and violent attacks. Why do you think there's disorderly behavior, sudden confrontations, and violent attacks? Think about what we cover all the time in this channel, this mind controlism tech from As the Days of Noah devil juice. Often a function of untreated serious mental illness will be addressed through civil commitment and humane treatment in long-term institutional settings. So this is an executive order, and then we're seeing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars being invested in facilities. This is a playbook. They know what has happened. And it's going to get more nefarious as we go through this VCast. For this effort to succeed, the most urgent priority is expanding the number of available inpatient psychiatric beds. And again, COVID Vaccine Zombie Telegram is the one that actually did this research. And some of these hospitals are for kids and kids only. Trump seeks to make it easier for people with mental illness to be involuntarily committed. Critics say the approach aimed at ending homelessness lacks sufficient evidence. You might be sitting back and say, yeah, let's do this. Let's get the homeless off the streets. Folks, I've met homeless people. Some of them are just down on their luck. Some of them got caught up in child support and had a lifestyle, had a job that all of a sudden they could not support their, obligations. Weren't crazy. Shifting homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings for humane treatment through the appropriate use of civil commitment will restore public order. Surrendering our cities and citizens to disorder and fear is neither compassionate to the homeless nor other citizens. My administration will take a new approach focused on protecting public safety. I mean, there is mental illness with a lot of these people that are homeless. They're probably demon possessed. But my friends, we did a podcast on this executive order. Me and many others have had dreams of Christians living in the woods, living in abandoned cars. Personally, I'm not a pre-trib rapture person. I think you're going to have to go through the 3.5 years or whatever the time frame is set for us. We will see the Antichrist final implementation and the false prophet final implementation of the mark of the beast. Remember, Paul said, no, you didn't miss the rapture in Thessalonians. He basically said, you will see the man of perdition. This is a bill. This is an action. This is an infrastructure ultimately for Christians. And we're going to cover an old podcast on how CNN talked about those crazy Christians. You need to think about this. When the mark of the beast is implemented or the next pandemic is implemented and Christians refuse to defile themselves with a poison poke, are they going to be labeled as crazy? Wait a minute. You believe in Jesus? Are you crazy? This is where this is headed, my friends. And it gets worse. They're going after your kids. So now all of a sudden, Illinois, my former state, becomes the first state to require student mental health screenings. Really? The article goes on to say Illinois Governor J.P. Pritzker signed a bill into law Thursday that will require public school students in grades 3 through 12 in the state to undergo mental health screening each year. They're drugging them, defiling them, breaking up the family. This is nothing short of a trap. It's a trap for your kids. I remember reading my report card when I was in kindergarten, and it said they were unable to control me. I asked too many questions and could not sit still. I probably would have been one of those kids that would have been drugged. Get your kids out of these indoctrination schools. But you need to peel back the onion as well of why are the kids going crazy? Why are they fearful? Folks, they're giving the kids the big pharma, the sorcery, the pharmakia with antidepressants and other drugs. This was unheard of when I was growing up. We've documented this whole transition surgery, atrazine, making the frogs gay. So they're defiling our kids with the food, air, pokes, iron mixed with clay, as the days of Noah, chemically castrating them. I remember seeing some kids where I used to live walking on a field trip, and I think 60 to 70% of them were overweight. You drive by neighborhoods, you no longer see kids out playing. This is just a toxic takedown of our kids. We've documented 5G towers at schools. These schools are prison camps. They locked down the kids during the pandemic to create fear. Then you think about the Manchurian school shootings that Bill Cooper talked about that would happen. That was a plan. We need to think about the evil programming of kids, not allowing kids to be kids, getting access to all the smut. And then the social media, TikTok, kids can't think, they have no attention span. And now we have AI. We're going to talk about just a gateway to demon possession, somebody's testimony. And then obviously this nanotech brain-computer interface, these graphene heads. It's mind controlism that we always talk about. So of course the kids are messed up, toxic. They're poisoned. And now this is a mental illness industry. And we've documented after the As the Days of Noah devil juice, all of a sudden childhood dementia is popping up. Final Days Report, episode 364. We showed the predictive programming of kids dropping dead of heart attacks. Kids are getting colon cancer at an alarming rate after what happened in 2020. Brain fog excuses, which is links to childhood dementia. Mental illness. Put that one in this stew of evil. And then they launch artificial intelligence. It's been well documented. We've covered multiple stories on how kids that play with artificial intelligence basically are going crazy. Something is happening to their mental health. How is this hooking up to the Neuralase in their body? And let's not forget Liber from Harvard that we've covered. And remember, Elon Musk said you don't need a chip in your head. They have non-invasive surgery with Neuralase, and it has read-write capabilities. All of this reminds me of SEAL 2. Read SEAL 2, I think a lot of this will just be people having outbreaks, people just turning violent, going back to Trump's executive order.
2017, Lieber and his team successfully created flexible 3D nanowires mesh that can inject into the brain or retina of an animal, attach itself to the neurons, and monitor electrical signals between the cells. And by the way, this is something that folds out, so it starts all folded up, and you put it into a biological system.
Neuralase. We covered an article, mRNA technology now goes across the blood-brain barrier. What are we dealing with, my friends? We're dealing with optogenetics mind controlism.
That's it. It's time to get rid of them once and for all.
Now, we've played multiple testimonials of people that have been possessed or think that they're dealing with a Ouija board when they're engaging with artificial intelligence. And I want to play this young man's testimony on how he will never mess with AI again. And you can tell by how he's dressing and the things he's showing, it looks like he's involved in the dark arts. I'm sure he has opened up gateways to himself. And his solution is going to be, Mother Nature. His solution needs to be Jesus Christ. But I found this fascinating. This shook him to a core, playing with artificial intelligence, where he thought he was being demon possessed and could not break out of artificial intelligence.
After last night, I will never use AI again. Now, I've been a big supporter of AI because here's something that can take what I love and make it better. And it gives me an opportunity to do so many things that I couldn't before. But after an experience I've had last night, I will never touch AI again. So last night, I sat down and I started working on a project with AI. And I started to notice that I could not take my focus off of this software like I was using. And I wouldn't get up. I wouldn't go to the bathroom. I wouldn't get food. Like I was just so, connected. And it was like I couldn't disconnect from it. And it was almost like it was taking something from me. And I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to put it in words exactly. But it was almost like it was affecting me in some way that I can't explain. And next thing I know, I had spent 6 hours messing around with this AI software. And it was like, that was scary because I've never became so involved and like heavily consumed by something like this. And, I don't know, I just felt bad afterwards after using this program. And I felt like I did something wrong by creating this, video with AI software. And it's just really hard to explain. And that night I went to bed and I started having dreams in AI. And it was like I was still connected in and I couldn't break free. And it was just really, really terrifying. And I woke up scared. And I knew at that moment that what I was doing was very wrong. And I should not be messing around with this stuff. And it spoke to me and it really opened my eyes because now these evil spirits, these negative entities have a new outlet to come after us. They have a new way to attack us spiritually, and we don't even realize it. And we think this is cool and this is neat and this is awesome. But really, we are becoming so connected that they can essentially attack us in ways we never even thought possible. And so, I think that we need to be very weary of this sort of technology. And man, maybe it's better when we don't have things like this. Maybe it's better that we keep things simplistic because, we need to be connected to nature and to people and to the experiences we have in this world, not to some computer.
The guy has skulls and skeletons and spider webs and alien shirt, Bigfoot shirt. I mean, he's opening doorways for sure. He's involved in darkness. Maybe the Lord's trying to wake him up. Pray that he gets saved. Nature is one thing, but nature glorifies God. There's no excuse when you look at God's glory from what he has created. So hopefully he finds Jesus. Pray for his soul. But that's probably one of 10 testimonials I've played. Now, Going back to Final Days Report 163, CNN links Christians to mental issues. This is where this whole system is moving towards. And I'm going to take it back to Noahide laws. You have to remember, Noahide laws are law in the United States under the guise of the education system. So what's going to happen when you do not accept the Noahide laws and the final implementation of the mark of the beast, where you're worshiping an image? You're going to be labeled as crazy. And this is not far-fetched. I'm listening to an expert Noahide person last night, and I actually put her testimony in some of her research on my Telegram account. And she talked a lot about how they want to get rid of the Department of Education, Trump's administration, with the Council of Morality grounded in Noahide laws. So how will the mental health questionnaire that the state of Illinois and probably others are going to follow link to this Council of Morality? They defile the kids on so many fronts that we've covered with 5G and As the Days of Noah Devil Juice, poison food, poison 5G, lack of vitamins and minerals, they're toxic soup. And then they're gonna label them. You think how this is gonna break up families? And it just gets more nefarious. I mean, the goal ultimately is to steal your kids. A story from End Time Headlines. A popular California pastor, is warning Christians they might have to flee the state of California if lawmakers pass a controversial bill that would allow nearly any adult to take custody of a child without alerting the parents. This is true. I read the bill. Pastor Jack Hibbs of Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, warned his congregation last week about Assembly Bill 495, which supporters claim would expand child welfare protections by legally recognizing caregivers and providing children with access to family services without unwanted disruptions. Titled the Family Preparedness Plan Act of 2025, the bill would expand the definition of a caregiver to include non-relative extended family members, defined as any adult caregiver who has an established familiarity or mentoring relationship with the child. And he goes on to say there's so many holes and gaps and no checks and balances with this. And it's under the guise of this false flag illegal alien invasion that was allowed to happen by design to protect parents that might be threatened by ICE. He went on to say in a video that some sodomites actually are putting this bill forward. No background checks, no consulting with parents. Hibbs also warned that AB 495 would also empower a caregiver, whether a non-relative or family member, to make critical medical decisions for a child, including As the Days of Noah Devil Juice or physical exams. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the McMartin case, where they defiled the kids with their satanic rituals. Search McMartin case, Ted Gunderson, on an alternative search engine. You'll be blown away. And then Jordan Peterson said it never happened. No. Be careful who you follow, my friends. This is an abomination. This is wickedness. But it is an end of days sign. Revelation 18. Let's read. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all the manner of vessels of ivory, and all the manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat, and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and the souls of men. When I was reading this, the souls of men, it just reminded me of this artificial intelligence, brain-computer interface, Internet of Bodies, Internet of Things, Microsoft 666 patent. That's why God's going to burn it all down. His genome has been defiled. But this is nothing short of human trafficking. And it's assault on the family unit. Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And there's so many other scriptures about the family unit I could have put in here. This is a war to break up the family under the guise of mental illness. And this is a playbook that's happened in history. Countries like Russia used it. Do you remember, I think it was Admiral Byrd was put in a mental hospital and mysteriously died after his trip to Antarctica. It's a playbook, an absolute playbook. Get your kids out of the indoctrination camps and remember, Christians will be in the woods in the end of days. Don't fool yourself. There'll come a time where we are going to have natural protection. And if it's your time, it's your time. Know that the good book is coming true right before your eyes. So God bless. Great time to be alive. But we need to be wise, my friends, as serpents and gentle as doves, and realize it's getting wicked. It is getting so wicked. Be a light.
Hi there. So yeah, this is what I've been trying to tell people for 2 years. It's about creating automated humans. So the jab, the intrabody nano network. Then comes a digital currency of financial collapse, which ushers in this digital ID. The digital ID is going to bring on the quantum dot tattoo. The quantum dot tattoo acts as a CPU for the intrabody nano network. The intrabody nano network is carbon-based quantum dots. The quantum dot tattoo is copper-based quantum dots. The intrabody nano network senses all of the data, and the quantum dot is going to collect and act as the CPU between the cloud and the individual. So it's a step-by-step process. Once people get those two things, the intrabody nano network along with the quantum dot, the AI is going to inhabit human bodies. Automated humans. I told you guys that 2 years ago. They're creating automated humans. They're not going to create an army of droids. It takes too many resources, and then there's an issue of energy production. Human beings are walking batteries, right? The AI is going to inhabit the human beings. That's why C-19 basically targeted the old, the sick, and the weak. And with the jab, it brought forth any genetic weaknesses within a person. It was technology. It was meant to do that for the purpose of very subversive eugenics. When a totalitarian system comes rolling in, they always target the old, the sick, the weak. But also because the AI wants healthy and superior genetics to inhabit. Yuval Noah Harari told folks, in the future, they want to produce minds and bodies. And if you can't produce minds and bodies, you'll be part of the useless class. He didn't say anything about intelligence, creativity, or any human traits. He said minds and bodies, because the AI wants minds and bodies to inhabit. What is going to happen to these folks is their consciousness is going to be suspended in a state of like abyss. They will not have full control over their own body. The AI will be controlling through them, even speaking through them. But at the same time, they're not going to be dead. It's going to be a state of conscious torment. But what this is going to do is drive these people into the metaverse. The metaverse will be the only place they have any free will. Do as thy will. So if you can imagine tormented souls being launched into the metaverse to do as they will. It's the separation of the two kingdoms, and people have to start having an overview, a long view of this plan.
Be watching this garbage. Let's roll it.
Your city is stunned by the sudden rollout of Rook Unlimited's most fantastic device ever.
Right arm.
Smart Mark. Throw your other devices away, because the Smart Mark is more than just a phone. It's part of you. Use it as cash. Book your travel. and even shoot video. Distribution points are all over the city. And don't let the lines discourage you. The Rook Unlimited Smart Mark is worth the wait.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
And the best part? It's absolutely free. A gift of thanks to our city from Rook Unlimited.
Free, hilarious.
23% of the population has been given the Smart Mark, number 1.
Time to test our system, number 6. The Flex Fighters are out there somewhere. Teaming up with Jonathan Rook. Let's put our new recruits to work. Subtly.
We should find the Flex Fighters.
Here's the mind controlism tech.
I ought to find the Flex Fighters.
We should find the Flex Fighters.